Okay, folks, so it's pretty obvious that the hottest market right now is the crypto market, especially compared to our beloved growth sector, which continues to give heartache and heartburn. But in this video, we're going to be focusing on the cryptocurrency market and what the top 5 cryptocurrencies are right now. What are the hottest ones? Are they worth buying and holding? Are they worth trading? Should we just completely stay away from them? And honestly, I'm not somebody who's a die-hard crypto fanatic. So it's actually going to be interesting because my perspective is a lot more skeptical when it comes to a lot of these asset classes. And before we get into it, the only thing that I ask of you in return is that you hit that ravishing like button, and also don't forget to subscribe. Okay, let's go ahead and start with number 5 and work our way down. So number 5 is Cardano. Cardano is sitting at an 867% year-to-date return. It started the year at about 18 cents and now it's at 174. Pretty dramatic, but what is Cardano? Well, Cardano is basically a war on the idea that cryptos have no real-world application. Cardano is building a platform to reinvent systems that are overly centralized, like education, retail, healthcare, and finance. Basically providing identity management and traceability. If you were a student who earned a certificate in a certain subject matter, say a diploma from Harvard, well, every single time you want to go and use that diploma to get yourself a job, you're going to have to go and contact Harvard to mail them proof, or mail you a copy to give to them. You have to keep using that issuing centralized authority at Harvard in order to prove that you have that certification that you earned, which is extremely inefficient because you have to keep going back to that issuing authority, the centralized authority, to have proof of you actually earning something that you already earned. Here's another example. A close friend of mine is applying for med school. Med school is very difficult to get in, and he applied to over 40 med schools, and he had to provide proof of graduation, proof of transcript, as well as test scores. And those copies had to be sent from the issuing authority so that it couldn't be falsified, and it had to be sent individually to each of those 40 schools. 40 times 3, total of 120 documents. That takes a long time. It's very inefficient for the issuing authority to have to deal with all that burden, and it's very annoying for the individual who earned the credits because guess what? They already earned it. Now they have to keep going back to the issuing authority and getting them to issue more, but the Cardano platform offers a solution to that. It allows you to own a certificate of your credits, whether that be for a job certification or a diploma or a transcript or whatever that is, and it provides a certification saying, hey, this is yours, so you don't have to rely on that centralized authority. It's all decentralized. You own it. It's part of the network. That way, once the issuing authority gives it to you, you have it and it's yours. What about retail? Well, let's say you want to buy a Louis Vuitton bag from Craigslist. Probably not the best idea, but let's say that you don't know how to tell whether it's real or not. Well, you can use the blockchain technology to provide a certificate of authenticity for that item. That way you can tell if it's stolen and whether or not it's real. There's a million other applications that you can think of in many different fields, but I'm just giving you a few real world examples to kind of beat in the point. Another quick example in healthcare. I know that we have some doctors watching, so tell me if I'm off on this or not, but there's a big database that doctors can search when they want to find out a patient's medical history. But the limitation is that, let's say a patient goes to a different country where they don't have access to that database. What if you're in a part of town where they don't use that database, or you're with somebody that just doesn't have access to that centralized database? Well, if you have a medical certificate on the blockchain, a medical certificate with all of your medical history, well, you could take that with you wherever you go. So whether you're in a different country, whether you have access to that database or not, you have decentralized certificate of your medical history using the Cardano platform. Now, in terms of whether this is a short-term buy or a long-term hold, well, I'd argue that it makes a lot more sense for a short-term hype trade when we get a pushback. Historically, it's had a ton of 10 to 20% pushbacks just in the last few months. So if you're going to buy it and ride the hype, buy it at a dip and signs of recovery. In terms of the long-term, the fundamental idea of this is excellent. I really like it. However, this is kind of a copy on another currency which we're going to talk about, Ethereum. And I think that the Cardano platform, some of the improvements that Cardano brings to the table, there's just so much other competition. But at the same time, I think there's ample amount of reward opportunity if you're going to buy and hold something like this. But in terms of a good play, I would say definitely good as a short-term trade, but you want to make sure that you get it at a pushback. And if you're going to do it as a buy and hold, make sure you get an even bigger pushback so that you have a good entry price. Okay, next, number 4 is Safemoon. This is one of the most searched and trending cryptocurrencies right now. Safemoon is trading at something like 100,000th of a cent, give or take a few zeros, but it's been on an uptrend for a few weeks after its original hype cycle earlier on. But my first impression of Safemoon is that you got to be very, very careful with that title. I get really worried when they feel the need to put safe in the title of something. That means that you're in real danger. For example, I don't know if you've heard of quality in, but just telling you, if you have to put quality in front of something, it's probably not that quality. Perhaps I'm just a hater, but if a hotel has to put luxury or quality in the name, it's probably the opposite. It's like they're trying to gaslight you. But that's okay. There's more to a currency than its name, and Safemoon is a cool name. While it's only been in the niche for a few months, it's already risen to a $4 billion market cap, so it certainly needs to be taken seriously because despite only being a few months old, it's quickly climbed the ranks with a huge cult following. And there's a few interesting distinctions with Safemoon. For example, instead of allowing investors to buy and sell this or trade this, it instills an exit tax on anybody who tries to sell it. They took something right out of California's playbook. If Safemoon ran for Congress in my state, it would win an overwhelming majority of the voters. But the idea of this exit tax, which is 10%, is that when the currency goes down, people don't panic sell, accelerating the downtrend, which has been a problem in all the other cryptocurrencies. It encourages people to stay because if they leave, they're going to take a 10% hit right off the bat because of that exit tax. And then if they do take that hit, the hit actually gets redistributed. Half of the hit gets redistributed to current Safemoon holders. And then the other half gets burnt, or that's at least what they say. And thus that rewards long-term holders of Safemoon and discourages short-term holders of Safemoon who just want to get in and out and ride the fluctuations. But going a little bit more into the token burn part, it's an interesting idea to own a currency that gets burnt and burnt and burnt over time. That way you have sort of a deflationary pressure working in your favor. With currencies like Dogecoin and really the US dollar continuously inflating forever, it's welcome to see a currency that's burning tokens. Safemoon has a very, very large supply, but it is still limited. They're not going to make any more Safemoon. These are the concepts that really sold a lot of people to the currency. But what about the downsides? Well, one of the problems that people have been pointing out is that despite Safemoon promising that half of its exit tax actually gets burnt, which then creates deflationary pressure for everybody, well, it actually gets sent to a contract owner who is unknown and has total control over the token's protocol. And this owner actually has centralized control of the currency and can make massive decisions without consensus of the community, according to Investor Place. And some crypto researchers have discovered that the owner owns more than 50% of the liquidity, which kind of makes the idea that this is a decentralized currency, well, not true. Despite token burn sounding like a good idea, very, very few and seldom and far between tokens have been burnt. But to be fair, this is a new currency and it's still at an early stage. And a lot of these new currencies, by nature of being new and just trying to get their start in the market, do have some bad PR and some hard transparency issues. And a lot of them do have a lot of concentration in a few hands in the beginning, but over time they get more decentralized. However, in the case of Safemoon, my opinion is that it's just so early stage. We still don't have enough transparency to really analyze this as a good buy and hold. So I have to say it's not. And it's also true that there's an exit tax, so you can't really buy and sell without a 10% fee anyways. So in my opinion, while I do like some of the ideas of Safemoon, I just think that it's not fit for buying and holding or trading at this time. Hopefully it can redeem itself, and unfortunately it's probably going to be traded much higher by the time it redeems itself. But I just think that in a market of so many currencies, they have to require your currencies to give you transparency. You have to require them to actually give you some strong indication that they're going to be the ones that actually end up on a very strong footing. And right now, Safemoon just isn't the one. And it's really early stage, so just the fact that we're even talking about it at this early of a stage and people are all excited about it says a lot about it. So maybe this is something that continues to be popular, maybe it doesn't, but we'll see. Okay, number 3, Dogecoin. We've covered this one extensively, but Dogecoin is a meme coin that started as a joke, yada, yada, yada. You know the story with this one. And it's had a consistent level of celebrity promoters, most notably Elon Musk, who promised it would go to the moon and is going to literally direct SpaceX to launch a Dogecoin-funded mission to get Dogecoin on the moon. But here's the problem. It has an unlimited growing supply. Its valuation is largely based on celebrities pumping it, and it's probably going to end up like many of the meme stocks in the stock market like GameStop. GameStop, which rallied massively, tanked, and then found itself at a more consistent level. I think that Dogecoin is going to do that as well. It's going to tank to a level that's still overvalued for what it offers because there's going to be enough people holding it thinking that eventually something will come up and it'll pump once again. But I think the level of stagnation is going to be much lower. And my thought process is, hey, you know what? I think most people shouldn't trade it, but if you're going to do it, at least get it when it starts to stagnate, whether that be 25 cents or 30 cents. And let's be real, there's going to be enough people that are going to be buying it and waiting it out that you see a stagnating bottom that's much higher than it was historically. That's why GameStop is still trading at a really, really high valuation for what it offers, because there's enough people that think that eventually something's going to come in and pump it up again. And this is also a cult investing asset similar to GameStop. So you're always going to have those people that are just like, you know what, I'm just going to sit in this and wait until the meme revival comes back. Okay, number 2, Ethereum. So Ethereum has been a big boy this year with a 437% increase, but a market cap of a whopping 455 billion, which is only rivaled by Bitcoin. This, in my opinion, is one of 2 cryptos that has undeniable value. but I also think it's expensive based on where it is in the hype cycle. This is a currency that I could say, hey, yes, I do think that it's going to get to $10,000 eventually. But in the meantime, there's not much evidence to suggest that it can keep going at the pace that it's been going, because if you look at it in terms of market cap, if you go up another 400%, I mean, you're starting to take over the market cap of everything else in the crypto market and exceed a lot of the stock market. The market cap being this high, if you triple again, you're already beating Bitcoin. You're sucking so much capital into the crypto market that it's really hard to fathom that sort of capital coming in that quickly after so much capital coming in already over the last 18 months. So I'd say we're getting to this point where it's getting very, 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 very difficult to understand how you can buy it at these prices. I think that eventually you're going to have that crypto cycle out, and some of these are going to get bludgeoned, and then you're going to have the next hype cycle that takes it to an even higher valuation. But the odds of seeing a continued rally like we've seen over the last 12 months are very, very unlikely. But in terms of whether I would buy and hold this, I'd say I think that Ethereum is a really, really good play to buy and hold. I don't like it at all at these prices. I think that buying Ethereum right now is sort of similar to buying Bitcoin in 2017. Like, absolutely. Even if you bought Bitcoin at the height of 2017 before the big dump, well, today you would have made tons of money, but you still had to stomach really, really massive drops. So just valuing something as higher doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best entry price. But if you're going to buy and hold, make sure that you have high conviction in it and make sure that you get it at a good dip. In the meantime, though, I think that this is a pretty damn good momentum play. I think that it makes sense to play and swing trade this type of play. The way that you play momentum is that you get in at a historically cheap price on the chart based on the last 3 months. Say you have a 10-20% dip, in this case maybe a 10% dip. Then you set a line of support, in which case you'd sell out if that's a stop loss or whatever your broker allows you for crypto. Then you can play that momentum, but also not leave yourself open to as much risk if everything decides to tank. Just have to make sure that you're cutting losses quickly, because historically this is very, very expensive, and there's no reason to believe that this isn't going to have a huge cycle out. Okay, number one, Bitcoin. So I understand that Bitcoin hasn't been the most exciting currency for a few months because it's basically been stagnating in the same region. It's true that it hasn't been the top performer or the hottest coin per se for a while, but in terms of market cap added this year, it's certainly the biggest. My take is that the crypto market is very similar to the growth market in that there's one specific leader that's leading the pack. In the growth market, that was Tesla. Everybody was buying other growth stocks because they were trying to find the next Tesla, which pushed a lot of capital into growth stocks. Unfortunately, now we know the deal with interest rates, everything's getting tanked. But in the crypto market, we're still in that euphoric process. Bitcoin has matured to a very consistent range, and so everybody's trying to buy all these other smaller coins, trying to catch up and trying to get the next Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, the leader of the sector is almost always the one that has the most fundamental backing and is almost always the one that's the most reliable, but it also tends not to be the best deal. But on the flip side, the leader tends to be the one that holds up the most in the market, and it tends to lead the rest of the market, in this case, the crypto market. And of the currencies on this list, Bitcoin is the only one that has substantial institutional backing. There's quite frankly a lot as traders that we can't see behind the surface that goes into a lot of these cryptocurrencies. We only have public information and our own research. But when you have a lot of institutional backing, it says that, hey, all these institutions did the research as well. They also increase public perception. They also increase public confidence. And the idea that big institutions are buying and offering crypto services or exposure means a lot. In fact, Goldman Sachs just launched their derivatives trading unit for Bitcoin as institutional demand continues to grow significantly. And I also see support for Bitcoin in the $40,000 range, maybe mid 40,000, as that's where a lot of companies like Tesla and others decided to go and add some support for it. And I expect that to be the area that Bitcoin bounces off of in the next cycle downward in crypto. And I think that overall Bitcoin's going to be on a continued uptrend over the years. You're going to have some periods of slowness. You're going to have some periods of selling off where everybody panics and says that Bitcoin's never going to come back. You know, we see that with every asset class, and it's always the same story. But that's a market cycle. So I see Bitcoin as a buy and hold. Just get it at a good deal, ride it up. I'm also a personal holder of Bitcoin. I have Bitcoin in my own portfolio. Anyways, that caps off the video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us below and join us in Zip Trader Circle, which I'll put the link to below. And of course, quick plug, this video is sponsored by Zip Trader U. Let's be real, a lot of folks struggle with growing their account because they don't have a clear process. They just kind of hop from one strategy or one headline to the other. But similar to an exercise program, oftentimes if you don't have a clear structure, you're going to be very, very demotivated. You're going to quit quickly, and you're definitely not going to have the confidence to stick it out. You're going to feel lost. So the goal of Zip Trader U is, of course, to provide you with a step-by-step structure and also allow you to work with our private chat and be briefed every morning on what is happening and where the stock battlefields lie. Anyways, folks, if you are interested, I'll go ahead and put the link below, and you can watch the intro video where this charming gentleman will explain everything you need to know if you want to take the leap and join us. I also just added a coupon code Battlefield75 if you want to get $75 off before checkout. If you're wondering what broker to trade these stocks and cryptos on, well, we like to send new traders over to Webull, and they are offering 2 free stocks, and they have tons of great resources on the broker for you to become the excellent stock and Doge trader that you'd ever want to be. That sounded really awkward, but it's true. I'll put the link below, folks. Anyways, folks, that caps off the video. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.